Well, what do you got? It's about 7:15 in the morning. Not a whole lot of sunlight here in Southern California. It's going to be one of those typical Los Angeles summers where it's gray and foggy and then it burns off a little bit. And so I got a couple of really nice Seikos here. The SBDC053, the Sunburst Blue, which can be purchased on the bracelet. I bought this at Noman. It was recommended by Bruce Williams, so I knew about them, and it turns out that they're selling this 053 on the stock bracelet, best Seiko bracelet I've ever had. And they're also selling the 055 version. That's the Blue Wave Patty limited edition. I don't like the word patty on my dial. You might as well just write the word porta potty. Hey, don't say that, McMahon. It's like 7:15 in the morning. You got to really have a mouth that talks about porta potties and such. So the first version of this I got was the Sunburst. I don't know, what could I call it? It's like a charcoal black. It's the 051. And it's interesting that I'm pretty enamored by these watches. Seiko's been under a lot of criticism lately. Ironically enough, when I bought my two favorite Seikos, what happened is a lot of people in the YouTube community have been pointing out Seiko's flaws, such as unaligned chapter rings, substandard bracelets, unevenly applied lume, second hands that don't tick correctly on the indices, cheap aluminum bezels, a fondness for using hardlex over crystal. Both of these use sapphire, by the way. Beautiful sapphire. Man, it's hard to choose one over the other, but if I had to choose one, I would get blue, only because I don't have a blue watch. Well, my Marine Monster is technically blue, but you can barely see it. It's more of a slate gray, blackish slate gray, depending on the light. But I like them both quite a bit. Ooh, man, it'd be hard to choose between those two. So I wasn't really going to get one of these because you have to realize I grew up as a watch fiend during the giant Las Vegas oversized watch. The oversized watch phase in 2006, 2007, 2008. You know, I would rock a 55mm watch. So to this day, you know, until recently, I was scared of a watch that this watch is under 43mm. It's 42.6. And what happened was a viewer of my channel about 3 months ago, he wrote about his experience with the 051. And he said he liked it so much, he flipped all of his other watches, including his Sumo. He mentioned the perfect balance and proportions. Check. Totally agree with him. He mentioned the consistent build quality about every phase, every aspect of the watch. Check. Totally agree with him. He mentioned that the effect of the 42.6 bezel on his wrist was actually such that it played big. Check, it does play big. It plays like a 45. I love the way the lume markers fan outward. It really does play big on the wrist. As you can see here, this is the first one I got. Try to get it in some light there. But he really persuaded me to get one, and so when I got it, the more I wore it and looked at it, the more I agreed with him. He was really onto something. And so I was persuaded, and I didn't regret it. As you know, if you want to get this in the Blue Wave version with the patty on it, all capital letters, it is available for $900. The 053 that I got was $850. And I like the bracelet too. I mean, oftentimes I'm upgrading Seiko bracelets. This bracelet is a masterpiece. The other thing I like about these watches is they're lacquered in a DiaShield scratch resistant coating, which gives them a real shiny effect. It's almost like someone dipped them in a bath of this shiny lacquer, and they have this real expensive look about them. I hope you can see it in the video. Apparently the SBDC061, which Bruce Williams has on his video, has the same effect, has the same treatment. And so what you're getting is these excellent bracelets, you're getting these excellent dial colors, balance, and I have to say these are the best Seikos I've ever purchased. And if I only had to alternate between these two, I'd be pretty fine. What's my runner-up Seiko? Well, I do have a runner-up. My runner-up has to be my my tuna. I want to say a few things about the tuna. Now the tuna, it's hard to bond with it because it's quartz. I really don't bond well with quartz watches. There are obvious advantages to quartz watches. I mean, they're reliable, accurate, and so there's something to be said about it. I have a hard time bonding with them. They tend to be box queens. I tend to keep them in my box too much. I do not dive with my tuna. It's a fashion statement for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to wear this in the pool. I'm not going to wear this to the beach. There's just no way. I mean, it's a runner-up because it's quartz and because it's not sapphire, but it's nice to have a tuna in your collection. What I can tell you is that I have a certain sentimental attachment to the tuna. It's one of those watches that got me out of my TV fashion watch brand. And I had an experience that a lot of you know about in a Breitling boutique a couple years ago. I walked into a Breitling store and I put on an Avenger Seawolf. It was a 45mm, and I liked it, but I was underwhelmed by it. Now that's not to say anything bad about the Breitling. A lot of times when you wear a high-end luxury watch, you need to like wear it for like a month before you can really appreciate all of its features. But I just was underwhelmed. And I remember when I walked in there with my tuna, and it wasn't this tuna, it was the 017. But I remember when I put the tuna back on my wrist, I felt this sense of relief. Oh, thank God. I'm back to where I need to be. I'm home. I'm back to Kansas, man. I left Oz and went back to Kansas. It was a really strange experience. And the particular tuna that I had that day in the Breitling boutique was an 017, which I stupidly sold. And I do have this updated version, this 033. Which is my current favorite version that is available right now, the all stainless version. With it does have a DiaShield polish tuna shroud on it, and it's my runner-up. And honestly, if I had to only wear these three watches, you know, I could really live with that. I could do that. And when I think of having only three watches, I think of something I'd like to talk to you guys about. I think of the watered down effect. When you have too many watches, I have this theory, and you tell me if you agree with me or not. I have this theory that your favorite watch treasures, they get watered down when you have too many watches. When you winnow down your collection to the very essentials, it brings out the concentration, the power, the potency, the intensity of the watch that drew you to the watch in the first place. So in other words, if I had 29 watches, my ability to appreciate this blue 053 would diminish. It would lose its intensity. Now I've experienced this before. There were times when I had too many watches and I stupidly sold a couple of watches that I probably am not going to get back. One was the Benares Moire Dart 44mm. I love the markings on that and the overall look. Really hard to get. Sometimes you see them once a year, twice a year, and a lot of times they have little scratches on them. I'm not going back there. And then I should have kept the Tuna 017. Granted, I have the 033 and I'm happy with it, but it was done because I had too many watches and I just could not process the intensity, the concentration of the beautiful watches that I owned. And I don't know, call it the watered down effect, for lack of a better term. Let me know if you guys, do you guys have the watered down effect? Do you find sometimes you feel that if you had your watch collection down to a manageable number, you'd be able to appreciate your prized watches better? That having too many just confuses the matter, and it almost becomes an unpleasant, anxious kind of feeling. It doesn't sit with you well, and the only way to get rid of that horrible feeling is to get your collection down. And so, the Tuna. Oh, I'm not going to upgrade it with sapphire because my watch dealer told me when you do that, that you may not have it waterproof anymore. He won't even guarantee that they're waterproof, he says, if you want to take it into a place that will do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted you to see my my black and my blue SBDC versions of Seiko, best Seikos I've ever bought. They got it right this time, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and until next time, I am out.